Hello and welcome to Conlin Collagraph's Everyday Vulcan Language Lessons, with all credit to Mark R. Gardner for creating the language. Lesson 8. The n prefix and how not to say what you're talking about. In the last lesson, I promised I'd tell you how to start dropping words. You see, in Vulcan, things get long quick, and eventually it's just too cumbersome to say everything. But not to worry. Context is king, and you can often figure out meaning from ambiguity. So, Vulcan is a word order language. If you remember from earlier lessons, that word order is verb, subject, object. So, let's say you're talking about yourself. Maybe you've already said, I like to pet salats. Tisha nashve strikau salat. Tisha nashve strikau salat. Or, Tisha nashve strikau salatlar, if you really want to emphasize that you want to pet multiple salats and not just one. So, let's say you think about that for a second and then add, I also pet lematyas. Also, isha, isha. So the basic way we've learned so far would be, I also pet lematyas. Isha strika nashve lematya. Isha strika nashve lematya. But you've already made it perfectly clear that you're talking about yourself. So in Vulcan, that means you can drop the I. But because of word order, strika lematya means the lematya pets. So how can you drop the subject? Allow me to introduce you to our little friend n. N marks the object of a sentence in the absence of a subject. So, while strika lematya means the lematya pets something, it doesn't say what, strika n lematya means something, it doesn't say what, pets the lematya. So, conversationally, tisha nashve strika salat, isha strika n lematya. I like to pet salats, also pet lematyas. But you may be asking, how do you know? Well, you don't always. Vulcan allows you to just kind of leave things up in the air sometimes. Sometimes, like in the example above, it's pretty clear. There's really only one person doing any petting. But in things like quotes, the ambiguity can actually be a nice touch. For instance, I once needed to translate the phrase, challenge your preconceptions. Now, I could have translated this with a command, which we'll get to in a couple lessons here, but instead I chose the form we're talking about here. And the words involved were challenge, kalitor, kalitor, and expectations, gishat, gishat. And I translated the whole phrase kalitor ngishat. Kalitor ngishat. Someone, we don't know who, challenges expectations. There's really not a graceful way to translate that ambiguity into English, is there? It's just a form we don't have. But let's try another pretty clear case. I ate food. I also took my meds. Medication. Hasret. Hasret. To swallow. Vinimtor. Vinimtor. This is the verb you'd use for pills or any other oral medication. Take in Vulcan is just going to raise questions like took them where or took them from whom. So, I ate food. I also took my meds would be Vesht yokul nashve yamtuch. Isha vinimtor nhaseret. Vesht yokul nashve yamtuch. Isha vinimtor nhaseret. Now, a lot of times, you don't even have to specify directly if you're just talking about yourself. For instance, tisha ndu, tisha ndu. Technically, this means someone, it doesn't say who, likes you. But, generally, I would translate that, I like you, unless you are already specifically talking about a different person. So, tisha ndu. I like you. But, Tisha ishve salat. Tisha ndu. They like salats. They like you. As a reminder, that's a singular they. That's one ambiguity we can reproduce in English. But of course, you can also translate these sentences with the mysterious likers English pronouns if you know them. This form is also how I make notes to myself in Vulcan, because that's a thing that I do. If I want to remind myself to call the doctor, I'd jot down Vuta nhasu. Vuta nhasu. Again, I could use the command form that we'll get to, and I might if I'm annoyed with myself for putting off a task for too long, but generally I don't. This is mostly a personal preference, but I do have my justification for it, which again I'll explain later. You can also combine this with the multiple verb structure. If you're, say, attempting Vulcan dirty talk, you might want to say, I want to touch your fingers. Finger. Oj. Oj. I want to touch your fingers. I tlu estel n oj to do. I tlu estel n oj to do. Now, fun fact, I'm including n here, but it's actually not at all clear from the grammar if it's necessary. After all, the usual pattern is verb, subject, other verb, object. So does the object need to be marked on a double verb if you drop the subject? The answer is, I have absolutely no idea. Either way seems logical enough, so pick your poison. I personally lean toward marking to be safe, but hey, if you're writing a song and you've run out of beats, it's a syllable you could reasonably drop. Also, little fun fact, the Vulcan finger kiss is called ogesta. Ogesta. Literally, finger touch. I want a finger touch. I tlu nogesta. I tlu nogesta. Anyway, I'll leave you with that spicy little example sentence and say Rom Halan until next time.